Hello, I am live. For those of you who are on the live event, come over here. I want to do this via ecamm again. So hopefully you all can find me as we start up our training for today, which is what's the number one thing that you need to gamify your course? And we're going to dive into gamification and how that works when you are building your online course and what that looks like. So jump on into this live, and I would love for this to be interactive. So if you are on and you have questions about gamification, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go through and do my spiel. But here's the thing. This week has been interesting. I've been in a couple of groups, and there's been some pretty strong reactions in terms of gamification. Gamification in terms of using it as a competition with other people versus a collaboration. And I want to tell you that gamification, the point of gamification, which is really using game-like elements in your learning design so you can help people participate and reward and recognize them for the things that they're doing in your course, isn't really about competition. You could make it a competition, right? You could create leaderboards, you could create ways where people are working to compete with each other, right? Who can get the furthest, who could get more points, who could get, all these different things, right? Like different elements, different prizes, different things. So the sense of competition is strong for people because people like to compete. They like to compete against themselves. They like to compete against other people. They like to be first. They like to participate and know that they have a little bit of skin in the game. So competition isn't all bad. But this person who was in this group was just like adamantly opposed to using gamification, using leaderboards to have people compete against each other. And the point isn't really to compete against each other. The point is to really be able to compete against yourself, right? So you are able to participate and do different things. So there's gamification for competition and gamification for collaboration. So gamification for collaboration is rewarding people for working together, rewarding people for commenting on other people's posts, on rewarding people for participating together or giving feedback to each other or whatever, right? So gamification is just about how do you reward people for participating and showing up and being a part of your course or your program or whatever you're doing. So when you think about it from that perspective, it becomes easy to really think about your audience and what resonates with them when you are trying to figure out how do you gamify, what does that mean, and what kind of cool elements can you add that will be motivational for your people, not detract from your people. So when this person was like, no, gamification's bad, leaderboards are bad, people shouldn't compete against each other, that may be because that's the audience that they have, that they want to create more of a sense of rewards for collaboration, right? You still can gamify collaboration versus competition, but it's just a little bit different in terms of how you go about it. So that's a little bit of a side note, a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it is important when you think about gamification and what the point of gamification is that it's not to put badges and all these things out there for people to get. It's really a strategic move to help people participate and to reward them for the action that they're taking within your program. And if you can remember that there's actually a strategy behind it, then it will really, really help you when you're creating your gamification strategy. So there you go. That is like a huge tip right there. But really think about that, because gamification isn't just about throwing some badges or points or ranks or whatever out there. It's really a strategic look at how do you help people participate and be engaged throughout your course. Okay, so I'm going to get to the number one thing you need to gamify your course in just a second. But what I want to do is just show you. And again, for the second week, I have been demoing ecamm, which I think is phenomenal. And I love it merely for this thing right here, is that I can literally go back and forth. I can toggle back and forth and show my screen, and it's very, very easy. And I can't tell you that is the same in all situations. So there you go. If you're looking for a streaming tool, I do recommend Ecamm, and I will be buying it because I think it's great for what it does. All right, so here is a really solid way to think about your gamification. When you think about gamification, you can think of it like a game that you play, right? So this could be a board game, this could be a video game, this could be, this could be like a little points driven thing that is at Starbucks or McDonald's or something like that, right? So any kind of game that you can think of, you can really look at your strategy and how do you make a similar strategy to a game. But when you look at a game, and I'm just going to take a board game because it's easy and it's something that we can all relate to, is that when you look at a game board, there is a specific path that people take to get from where they're starting to where they're finishing, right? So there always is a win state, right? Like there's a way for you to win the game. You don't just, open up a board game and start playing and hope that at some point you're actually going to win the game. There actually is a point to it, right? There's a finish line or a win state. Then the other thing that it has is a path for you to get to that win state, right? So it could be that it's like this game board that I'm showing right now, where you go and you roll the dice and your little guy goes to, wherever you land. It could be like chutes and ladders, where you go up the ladder or down the chute, depending upon where you fall, right? So there's a method or a madness to the way that the game is created. And I'm going to tell you, game creators don't just like grab a game board and draw a random, kind of thing like this and say, all right, so, how are we going to get them to the finish line? Well, they're going to roll their dice and then this is what's going to happen and blah, 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 right? Like there's a really strong strategic intent to creating a game, which means that there's rules for playing, right? So there's rules you follow or rules that you don't follow. There is a specific way that they want you to go through this path. There is a fast way to win and there's a slow way to win, right? So all of these things are thought about ahead of time when you're thinking about creating a game or gamifying an experience. So within this, when you look at the path, there's a specific, kind of way that people go through a game. And it could have lots of twists and turns. It could have all of these different, ups and downs. It could have all of this. But at the end of the day, there's an actual path that you go through when you are creating a game. So the way that I like to think about this, it is similar to this, right? So we talk a lot about your success path and how you help people get results through your program, through your course, whatever it is that you're creating. So the number one thing that you can do in a program and when you're gamifying it is to be really clear about how they win. What is that finish line? How do they get to that finish line? And what does it look like at that finish line, right? What do they achieve? What is there at that finish line? And being really clear first about that finish line, that result that you're getting for them and what that looks like. So a lot of times people say, well, that's great, Tara, but my result is more general. It's more something that people will just feel or they'll experience, but it's not really specific. And here's the thing, you need to keep digging until you get to something really specific. Just like a game. Like a game wouldn't say, like if you opened up Monopoly and they were like, well, the objective of the game, you win the game by just sort of, you could collect more money than someone else, or you could collect more houses, or you could pass go. You can do, you could just do whatever. You can do all of these things, and then that will, end up there at that finish line. It's not really a compelling game, right? Because you're like, well, what do I do? How do I get there faster? What's the path I should take in order to win this thing, right? You think through that. And so that's the same thing your learners are going through when they're looking at your course. They're like, how do I get there? How do I get there faster? How do I get there before somebody else? How do I get that transformation that I'm looking for? And so that's the very first thing. And the most important thing is like literally work on that result, work on that finish line, that win state. So you're very, very clear about what that is for your people, because that will change the game for you literally, right? And then when you're looking at that, like where are they starting and where are they ending up, what's that clear goal, then you can create that success path, that path that on the board that they have to go through in order to get from point A to point B. And I'm going to tell you that as course creators, we want to get them as fast as possible, right? So instead of this meandering path, we probably want to just make it a clear path. But the way then you gamify this is you lay out that path and you say, okay, so within this path, how can I reward them or recognize them for taking particular action that will help them get closer to that win state? And a lot of times this looks like when they finish a step or when they finish a level or when they do a particular activity that you know will help put them on that path where they're going to get that result. That is when they should be recognized for the participation, the work that they're doing. And that's when you give them a badge, you give them a pat on the back, you give them a note, you give them a gift, whatever it is that you can dream up is what that reward or recognition should be as you're gamifying the experience. So sometimes you want to reward them for just showing up, and that's great. Points are great for that. If you want to reward them for getting to a particular place, you may give them a badge, you may give them some type of physical reward, but make sure that the reward matches the effort that they have put into that particular part of the game. And when you think about your thing as a game, because that makes it meaningful, that they've earned it, and that it's something that it gets them closer to that goal, right? It helps to motivate them to keep going as they go through. So for example, in Learn Academy, which is my signature online course where we teach people how to create, sell, and launch their signature online course. So they go from not having a course, maybe having a framework, but not really knowing how to package it into an automated course, to launching it and selling it to people and actually being able to deliver it. So that's the path that we want them to go on, and we're taking them in terms of that transformation. And so when they get to the place where they're practicing their live beta, we reward them for that behavior, because that's a huge piece of the puzzle in terms of helping them win. I know they can't win if they don't ever get in the game and start teaching their live beta. And so that's a key place that we have gamified and made that into something. There are other key factors within my success path as I'm teaching people that I will put specific either bonuses or badges or, just places where I'm recognizing their effort along the path. That's gamification, right? So gamification, again, like it's very strategic in terms of how you're helping them get to that win state. It's not about, how can I just add a bunch of bells and whistles into my course? It's really takes them on that path and what that looks like. So a couple different examples of gamification. I've mentioned badges already. I've mentioned points. You could do participation points if you are more concerned about that collaboration versus competition. Reward them for helping each other. Reward them for showing up in the group that you've created or in the community. Reward them for that. Reward them for income made. You can create physical things to reward them, awards or plaques or different things like that, right? Or it could be part of a theme that you've created. Maybe you are, think about a great example like the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, right? So they do a particular activity and then they get a badge and they put the badge on their sash and they wear the sash wherever they go, right? As they're representing the work that they have done. That is a great example. They've done specific activity, they get a badge. They've done specific activity, they get a badge. And each specific activity leads to that goal of what they want to be or what they want to do as they have gotten into that particular tribe or community. Another example is I have a mentor, and when you get to a certain income number, you get a big plaque mailed to your house, and then when he has a live event, you are recognized at that live event. That is a form of gamification. They have looked at the situation, put in some success factors that they think are important, and then that's how they've gamified it. When you look at automating your gamification, there are so many different ways to automate your gamification, which means that, as people are doing certain things in your course, you are automatically giving them points or recognition or having different things trigger based on what they have done. And so that is another thing. But again, the number one thing that you can do is be really clear on what it takes to win, regardless if it's a collaboration win or a competition win. How do you be really clear? And then how do you look at where you can reward them for taking action throughout your success path? All right, that was a quick tip to help you figure out how to gamify your course. Because here's the thing, like, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant, but here's the thing is, like, so often people say, well, I want to gamify my course, it's going to be so awesome. And then every single step, every single thing that somebody does, they get a badge for. Well, that's not meaningful. Well, it's not meaningful if it's sort of like, how they've treated little kids now, right? You participate, you get a trophy, versus you get a trophy for an accomplishment that you've done, right? So there's a little bit of conversation around that, right? Do you give everyone a giant trophy for participating, or for coming in first or second or third? And it's the same concept. Does it have meaning to reward them at this stage of the game? If it's not going to have meaning, don't reward them. If it's not meaningful, don't reward them. If it is something that they've had to work towards, then that recognition of their work is just a really nice extra bonus as they keep going through. So just make sure that it's meaningful and it's something that makes sense. All right, so that is what I had for you today in terms of a quick training. Next week, we will be doing another topic. So throw out some ideas either in this thread or anywhere on the Online Course Creators group. What do you want to hear? What do you want me to do a mini training on? And we'll add it to the docket, because I am going live every Friday at 1 o'clock Central. And so let me know what you want to hear. And any questions that you have about gamification, add into the comments. You can add them now if you're here watching. What questions do you have about gamification that you want me to answer? Or add them later, and I will add in another video into this this chat and answer a question. So any immediate questions that people have right now, throw them in. I am here for the next couple of minutes to answer questions, and then I am jumping on a jet plane. And so you've got me for the next couple of minutes. So anything that you can think of around gamification that would be helpful. So here's what I will say as I'm waiting for any questions to come in, if you guys have any, is that when you're starting to gamify your course, your program, your coaching, whatever it is that you're doing, start by mapping it out just like I showed you on this game board before you bring it into a tool, before you go out and find cool badges or cool points or cool bonuses to put in there, or even physical products, right? I have a client who has created an entire theme around the progress that people are taking throughout his whole business value ladder. And the power of that is that, he has, he's doing a theme, and then he sends out kind of a physical thing that you hang up, and with it, it's got like 6 pegs, right? So each peg represents a path in the value ladder. And so you've got to say, like, it's got to drive people crazy to only have like 3 of the pegs filled, right? So they're going to automatically want to go forward because they're going to want to fill um, that whole piece of the frame that they have, right? So if you have 6 big kind of points to recognize people, if you have a physical thing that they have to physically get something that fills in those holes, that drives people crazy, right? They want to fill in the holes, so they're going to continue down that path. So it's a great incentive for people to keep going. Now, obviously, he's got the content and the program to back it up. It's not, it's, you have to have both, but it's such a powerful physical manifestation of the gamification because each thing that they earn gets them closer to filling up that full frame, which, like I said, makes a huge difference. So when you think about how, like, what your strategy is, think about like how can you show them the missing pieces. Another great example is Peloton. I'm obsessed right now with Peloton, and so they have a whole page, and this is sort of the how you do this in an automated fashion. They have a whole page that has kind of the grayed out badges that you earn based on how many rides you have, or how many, I'd use it for the treadmill, so how many runs you go on. And so you look at it and you're like, okay, I filled in this one. Now I want to fill in this one, right? So you see that there are gaps in your achievement. So you want to keep going. So how do you create that sense of progression for people so they can physically see that there's more that they can achieve? So there's the surprise element of gamification, and then there's what I'm talking about right now, which is that really strategic progress indicators that help people. Now, again, if you had, a empty badge hole for like every single thing that you ask them to do, it's going to lose meaning. It's going to be, too overwhelming, and they're going to say, ugh, forget it, right? But if there are certain milestones, like for the runs, it's, you've done your first run, and you've done 10 runs, and then 20 runs, then 50 runs, right? So 100 runs, and then it keeps going. And so you want to get to that next level. And so you have to, a jump from 20 runs to 100 runs is a big jump, right? So you want to keep progressing and building that within your programs. So there you go. There are some awesome, solid ideas for you. I'm not seeing any questions, so throw your questions in later if you have questions. Gamification is a hot topic. It's something that everyone loves to talk about. And it's an amazing thing for your program, your course, in really thinking about the experience that you're taking somebody on and how you want to help them be successful as they go through your program. Because it's less about competition, less about collaboration, and more about how you help people participate through your program, through competition, through collaboration, right? And give them recognition for the action that they are taking. All right, there you go. That's what I have for today. And I'll be watching this thread. So if you have questions, let me know, and I will shoot another video for y'all. In the meantime, think of some cool things you want me to do training on in the future, because sky's the limit. So you guys let me know what you need. All right, bye.